There is an old saying in our town: if you hear someone crying after midnight, don't follow the sound. I never believed it until my family moved into the old house at the end of Mabini Street. The house had been abandoned for nearly 15 years. No one seemed interested in buying it. The price was unbelievably cheap. My father called it the bargain of a lifetime. The neighbors called it something else: the crying house. The first few days were peaceful. The house was old but comfortable. Its wooden floors creaked with every step, and the windows rattled whenever the wind blew. At night, the neighborhood became unusually quiet. Too quiet. It was as if even the stray dogs avoided our street after sunset. On the fifth night, I woke to the sound of someone quietly sobbing. It wasn't loud. It sounded like a woman trying not to cry. The sound drifted through the hallway. I assumed it was my mother. I walked to my parents' bedroom. Both of them were asleep. The crying continued. The sound led toward the empty guest room. My hand trembled as I pushed the door open. The room was completely dark. The crying stopped instantly. Nothing was there. I searched every corner. Nothing. As soon as I stepped back into the hallway, the crying began again, this time from downstairs. The following morning, I asked our next-door neighbor about the house. The elderly woman sighed. I hoped the house had finally gone quiet. She refused to explain further. Instead, she handed me a small rosary. Keep this with you after sunset. The strange events grew worse. Cabinet doors opened by themselves. The lights flickered every night at exactly 12:17 a.m. Family photographs kept falling from the walls. Always the same picture. Always the one taken inside our living room. One evening, my younger sister refused to enter the hallway. "There's a lady sitting on the stairs," she whispered. "There isn't anyone there," my father replied. She shook her head. "She doesn't have a face." That night, I decided to stay awake. I wanted proof. At exactly 12:17, the crying returned. This time it sounded much closer. I slowly walked downstairs. The living room was empty. The kitchen was empty. Then I noticed the back door standing wide open. We always locked it before bed. The crying came from the backyard. The moonlight revealed a lone figure standing beneath an old acacia tree. A woman wearing a faded white dress. Her long hair covered her face. She never looked at me. She simply cried, softly, endlessly. I called out to her. The crying stopped. Slowly, she lifted one hand, not toward me, toward the house. Then she vanished. The air became freezing cold. The next day, my father discovered something while repairing loose floorboards beneath the staircase. Hidden underneath was a small wooden box. Inside were faded family photographs, several letters tied together with ribbon, and a newspaper clipping. It described a house fire decades earlier. A mother had managed to save her 2 children. She never escaped herself. The fire destroyed part of the house. It was rebuilt, but no one ever spoke about the woman again. That evening, we placed fresh flowers beneath the acacia tree. My mother quietly offered a prayer. None of us spoke. The wind suddenly grew still. For the first time since moving in, the house was completely silent. Weeks passed. The crying never returned. The lights stopped flickering. The doors remained closed. Everything finally felt normal. until the day we moved away. As the moving truck pulled out of the driveway, I looked back one last time. Standing at the upstairs window was the woman. She wasn't crying anymore. She simply smiled. Then she slowly raised one hand, as if thanking us, or perhaps saying goodbye. The house still stands today. New families move in every few years. Most stay only a short while. Some claim they hear quiet sobbing after midnight. Others say they never hear anything at all. But every person who has lived there agrees on one thing. If you ever hear someone crying in that house, don't try to find them, because the sound isn't asking for help. It's waiting for someone to answer. The end.